This is Ironman training with POTS and type 1 diabetes, week 18. Let's go. This week it was all about the long ride and the taper begins. The countdown to Ironman starts now. This week was about recovering from St. Anthony's, and then it was all about preparing for my 100-miler, my century ride, my first one. This is a long day. And no matter how bad I tried, it was really hard to mentally sink my teeth into the fact that I was going to ride my bike for upwards of 6 hours. And I know that I'm going to be doing it even longer in the race, but I'd never done this before. I'd done 60, I'd done 70, I'd done 80, 100, whole different animal. And for me, it was all about staying ahead of the diabetes and embracing the lessons that I learned during my bonk and my POTS flare up at the end of the 20-miler about staying ahead of the hydration and keeping ahead of the sodium. So on the way up, I started with a blood sugar level of like 135. It takes about a 45-minute drive to get up there. I stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts. I had a bagel, which is fucking terrible. Bagels in Florida are just the worst. I digress. Had myself a coffee. And then when I got on the bike, blood sugar was starting to rise a little bit, finally. And I used the high carb Tailwind, the 90-gram carb Tailwind. In one of my water bottles, and I kept the other water bottle just water. But this is where it gets challenging. I mean, it was like 86 degrees or something. It was 78 degrees by the time I got out of the car. The first water stop or the only place that I actually knew of where I could get water was 21 miles away from where I was. My plan was to alternate water bottles, drinking every 5 minutes. Now, I thought that I would have to probably lean into the high carb Tailwind and then take gels that I had brought one so that I could have one every 15 minutes if I needed it. But my blood sugar stayed very stubborn. High 300s. For those first 2 hours, they were not coming down. In fact, I had to make a choice at one point and decide if it was actually a good idea for me to continue to drink Tailwind at 90 grams of carbohydrates. But if I didn't, I would then be lacking any electrolytes or sodium needs that I would have. And so I opted to stay ahead of the fuel. I knew that at some point, the glycogen stores, whatever, the muscles contracting, scientific terms, look them up yourself, would have to start working, and my blood sugars would start absorbing the sugar into my bloodstream and start using it. And eventually that is what happened. So in fact, I actually had to chase a few lows just on the way back, but overall, it was very hard to complain that the blood sugars actually interacted with performance. Now, hydration got tricky because I was told there was a different water station off a road about 35 miles away from my initial stop. However, at 35 miles, it was just the middle of nowhere. So they probably were setting me up to be murdered. And then I had gone further than I had gone before, which was last time I had gone as far as 40 miles. And so I crossed over another bridge into like what seemed to be nowhere out on the Suncoast Trail, 45 miles north of sort of the main bike trail parking lot there is nothing. And because it's an elevated bridge, you can just see for like 100 miles and it was nothing. And at this point I was facing running out of water. So I decided it best to turn around. There is a sort of rest stop or a bathroom that's maybe about 32 or 33 miles away. So I did make it to that one and just decided to fill up with the sink water, and surprisingly it wasn't bad. Now, what I did different here is at those various water steps is I made sure to re-up my Tailwind so that I was continuing to have, and I think I refilled it 3 times throughout the 7 or 8 total liters that I drank on this ride. And I'll tell you what, I was crusty. I was salty. It's like I'd been out to sea for days. My hair was salty. It was built up over all my pores. So I was getting it in and I was sweating it out. I'm a salty sweater, and 5 hours and 38 minutes on the bike in that hot sun was a long time to be doing it. My performance, I felt, was good. I was actually maintaining 18.6, 18.8, 19 miles an hour for a lot of the ride. On the way back, it was still pretty good, even though I was hitting that southwestern wind. And it was really miles 85 to 100 that I began to slow. But even, 85 to 90, I was still in the low 18s, high 17s. But I'll tell you, those last 2 miles were hard. They were really hard. And I started cramping around mile 93. in my right leg, and that's not something I'm used to. As a matter of fact, it's been 2 days now and it actually still hurts. I was basically trying to pedal and glide. Anything I could. I considered quitting every 5 seconds of those last 7 miles. And it was actually really hard that when I got back to the parking lot, I had to go back out for a couple miles just to make sure I could get the 100. But I committed to it. It was a fundamental part of training. I rode 100 miles for an average of 17.8 miles an hour. It took me 5 hours and 38 minutes. Hell yeah. And now comes the hardest part, in my opinion, of training for any sort of long distance endurance race, the taper. This is going to be the longest 2 weeks of my life. It's like everything that you have been training for, everything that you've been disrupting your life for, all of a sudden comes to a stopping halt. All the exhaustion that you've been putting off for the previous 18 weeks hits you like a ton of bricks. And yet you never feel like you're doing the right thing. You think you're supposed to be training more, eating different. Oh, I should have run longer. And we want to make up for all the things that we think we didn't do, but it's too late. The die has been cast. All that we can do is make it worse. Oh yeah, and this, bubble wrap me. Because everything I do right now is about just not tripping over myself. 13 days from right now, God willing, I will have started my marathon. The best way I describe a taper is a little bit like that scene in The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy. And he's got to carry that cup of water like across, and without spilling a drop, nothing can go wrong. There is no ground beneath him. I feel like it's that. And when you get to the end, you're like, yeah, now turn on the goddamn lights. But I do have a race plan, and I'm ready for it. The race plan is to humbly accept that I am a diabetic, that I have POTS, that I have these conditions, and that I have these nutritional needs that need to be met. I was reluctant. I wanted to avoid the reality of having to treat them because I wanted to spare 3 minutes off my time, as if anybody in the damn world besides me was gonna give a shit if I have to pull over for 3 minutes to make sure that I'm getting in enough sodium and to make sure that I'm treating my needs the way that I can so that I can complete the race. So, one of the ways that we can beat these conditions that we have is by putting our egos aside. We can compete in the same race as everybody else. We might just have more conditions to meet to get there. But that's okay. It doesn't make it unfair. We still have the opportunity to compete. And so, yeah, I think my plan for the swim, especially because I'm going to have to be disconnected from my technology for God knows how long, is to go into the water, high, and at 30 minutes, but not super high, at 30 minutes in, approximately, I'm going to pull over to a kayak or a buoy or something, and I'm going to take a gel. And if I don't need it, I'll burn it off on the bike. But safety first, and you know what? The 3 minutes it's going to take me to do that is going to guarantee that I complete the swim. It's not going to be the thing that ruins my race. The same thing on the bike. I mean, if once or twice I have to pull over to make sure that I'm properly getting the right nutritional needs, so be it. So what if the bike takes me 6 hours and 40 minutes instead of 6 hours and 30 minutes? Is anybody going to care? Am I even going to care? If that's what it takes for me to get there, then I'll just learn how to do that faster. And if I do another one of these, I'm going to learn how to better equip those needs. As long as I'm willing to address them, I can compete. And that brings me to the run. I've been so pumped about my running that I've been so focused on, man, I just want to PR the marathon, which I know just sounds stupid, but screw it. I PR'd my 10K last week, and it was after the triathlon. So why not? Why not me? Who says it's impossible? Why can't it be done? Why aren't I there already? But I've been so focused on that I was discouraged from appropriately treating the needs that I have. And if that means that I have to walk through the water stops so that I can get all the water instead of a couple sips every mile, it's going to be 90 fucking degrees. It's May in Florida. I know it's been unseasonably cool, but by the time I am running the marathon, it is going to be hotter than the surface of the sun. After being on the bike all day, it is going to be awful. So the only way, or not even the only way, but the best way that I am going to complete the marathon is by making sure that I am properly hydrated with water, with salt and electrolytes. And if my needs happen to be greater than somebody else's, that means my effort to meet them must be greater too. And that is how I will complete the marathon. If that's what it takes to get there, then it's worth it. I've been watching these Ironman videos and it's been pumping me up because I keep seeing these people coming through the finish line and they are saying, you are an Ironman. It was just over 21 years ago that they told me I had cancer for the first time. You are a cancer survivor. It was just over 17 years ago. They said, you are a diabetic. They told me you are an alcoholic. I have 7 herniated discs, nerve damage, sleep apnea. I suffer from POTS. When we allow ourselves to become victims to these conditions, to these circumstances, they become part of our identity. You are not good enough. You are not worthy. You are broken. Well, in 13 days and 5 hours, they're going to say, Nick Klingensmith, you are an Ironman. 13 days till Ironman Jacksonville. Let's go. Live inspired.